once again, I'm running up on the porch and running off with the bag, the mailbag that is, answering questions unsolicited. Don't give a can you ask or not. If you actually see your question, hit me up in the comments, but you're not watching though. But yeah, I love to answer these unprompted. Anyways, what's up? It's your boy Cintron. Come back to another analysis/news video. And kid you not, that's my real name. Mailbag. What would the 2022 Eagles have looked like if they traded for Russell Wilson? Ugh. Don't even want to fucking imagine. I'm so glad that we missed out on this bullshit. This dude here was supposed to be Chef, but he just looked like Chef Boyardee. Even worse than that. He burning that shit. All right. With the recent revelation that the Eagles tried to trade for Russell Wilson, is it fair to dock Howie some GM points for getting lucky that Russ didn't want to be here? And also, how do you envision the 2022 season if that trade had actually happened? No, because this is kind of happenstance, because I don't know if Howie would have actually made a move on it. He would have definitely researched it, because he, checks his list on all items available before he clears the shopping cart or checks out. So, he did his due diligence, but in fact, he would have done his due diligence, but I think he probably didn't even get to that point because Russell vetoed the trade, outright. So I'm so glad he did that. But with Jalen being an unknown, I don't know if he would have actually done it. How strongly did he believe in him is really the question. And I can happily say that we will never know the answer to that question. And we don't have to fucking torture our souls worrying about it with that dumpster fire that Russell Wilson was last year. But I think the year would have... Actually, I think he would have had a decent year, but definitely not, to the level that Jalen Hurts played last year, because the chief reason being that he slowed down last year. He was not the guy that, Russell Wilson that we have been accustomed to seeing in 10 seasons plus, or 10 seasons in Washington with the Seahawks. He lost, the maneuverability, the mobility, and that was a huge part of his game, not for, more so like earlier in his career, going down the field, but just buying time in the pocket and flummoxing defenses. And once he lost that, slowed down, I believe, to a great degree, it tremendously impacted his game. And he has to reinvent himself this offseason, and we'll see the results of his, fruits and labor. If it bears fruit, or he just labored in futility. But yeah, it's a good question to ask, man. And I'm so glad that he's the Broncos' $250 quarter billy problem. So yeah, I don't want any of that. Because look what they gave up for him. The Broncos had to give up a first-round pick, which ended up being a 9th overall pick, super high pick. A 2023 first-round pick, a second-round pick, and 2022, a second-round pick to come, and Drew Lock, Noah Fant, and Shelby Harris. And Noah Fant and Shelby Harris are two quality players, starters. And Drew Lock, maybe a decent backup, but he's just a throw-in. And all they had to give up was a 4th-round pick. And then yet the Broncos had to give up Seahawks. Sorry, that was what the Broncos gave up, right? This is what the Seahawks got. The Broncos got a 15th round pick. 15th overall pick, 16th overall pick, second round pick, and second rounder, and Jalen Hurts. Oh, anyways, Nick's what I just said. I'm getting ahead of myself. Damn. Just cut that whole segment, editor. But yeah, that's just not a good trade, and definitely get the return on investment that they wanted. We'll see if it pans out or not, but I'm thinking it's not going to get incrementally better. I think tremendously better, like twofold, threefold. It might get incrementally better, but I don't think it's going to, be a huge margin. Next, Howie is usually so good at being aware of the potential availability of players, and Dalvin Cook had been widely reported to be a possible cut. Why do you think he jumped to trade for DeAndre Swift rather than wait for Cook's release? Cook is younger, yeah, He's 24. He turns 25 next year in January. And the price tag, 1.7 million versus Cooks, 28. He got 1,500 career touches, and then his price tag, he wants probably at the very least 6 to 7 million, and we got 4 guys on the roster currently that are under that or around that number. So just a great boon for us. And Swift, he's not that much less productive for the price tag, so it's just a win-win in your column. And we might actually re-sign him for a couple of years on an extension. It's still not going to be break the bank. So that's a huge win for the Eagles. A young player in his prime, and getting him when he's still has potential to be better than he's shown. And in this offense, he's not going to have to carry a big load, like he would have had to with the Detroit Lions. So it's just going to eke out or measure out to a win for the Eagles. And anyway you slice it. What are your thoughts on the running back committee? Gainwell was loud, in my opinion, about expecting a bigger role. Scott was more diplomatic about it, but it begs the question, who's going to be on the field and who sits in a reserve role? I think I think it's going to be pretty balanced, but realistically speaking, they're going to ride the hot hand. Love that wording. To give it to whoever, is at their best, at their peak in that moment, and also what fits the game plan. So we could see any mix of DeAndre Swift, what's his name, Rashard Penny, then Gainwell, and depending on the week, I think you're gonna have number 2, number 3 back switch the most, but Swift and then Penny could switch as well, depending on what you're looking for, because some weeks we might need to pound the rock, and we don't want to get Penny injured because he's making pennies on the dollar, but also he hasn't been able to have the best availability his entire career. But it really depends on that. I would say Swift and Gainwell are the guys who are the most interchangeable as far as their skill sets, but Swift can bang a little bit, based on his size. He's like 5'10", 214 or so. With Gainwell being like 205 or 2, I think I want to say under 210, maybe 208 or something like that. 5'10", 5'11". But yeah, they're about the same speed and same neighborhood as far as receiving ability. Swift is maybe a little bit better, but Gainwell, I think if you play him in the slot, he has the advantage because he actually used to be a former college receiver. So, it's I think all 3 guys they'll get a similar number of touches more so than we think. Even though we could be going back to the days when we had a 3-headed running back in Philly. Remember we had Correll Buckhalter number 3, Deuce Staley number 2, and then Westbrook. I want to say those were the 3. So and there might have been another guy. But it was great when we had those, and I hate it because I wanted to have one guy. I was inexperienced, didn't know that saving other guys' careers and just keeping everybody fresh and the multitude of benefits from shuffling guys in and out. But I wanted to have a franchise guy back there like Danny Tomlinson, Jamal Lewis, in that mold. But Priest Holmes, but yeah, showing my age here. Anyways, hey Jimmy, it's not Jimmy, it's me, Cintron. I want to know why no one is questioning why we're all okay with the Eagles elevating Nakobe Dean to a starting linebacker spot without addressing whether he has the size for the position. Clearly, a lot of teams did not think so. No. Do not get that twisted. He's 5'11", 231, but it's not the teams were worried about his size because the guy played great at Georgia, in the SEC nonetheless, making tackles and diagnosing and reading plays and knifing through the backfield, even though he was behind 2 stud D tackles in Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. That being said, he was rumored to have a shoulder injury, so they're worried about durability issues, and that caused him to go from potentially being a first rounder, maybe more likely a second rounder, to being a third rounder. And the Eagles just happened to be there, pounce on that because his value diminished on the board, but on the draft board, and the actual draft and selection process, but his value on the board was still remaining the same. So people misunderstand that, and there's some false rumors floating out there, and it worked out to the Eagles' benefit. But yeah, he was highly rated on multiple teams' board, if not the majority of teams around the league. The ones at least that had a need, and even ones that probably didn't have a great need, they would have made the quote unquote luxury pick, and then selecting him for maybe future years and maybe projecting him to start or play significant snaps for them over the next 2 or 3 years. And when whatever star they had at at the position retired or whatever else happened, traded them away or cut, release, whatever. All right, next. Is it possible for Jalen Hurts to have a better year this year than last year? And what would that look like? Yeah, definitely. I think he could have more yards, less rushing TDs as we lean more on our run game and those running backs to carry the load. Pause. And he could have more touchdowns. So that is not a dramatic prognostication, great take, but just looking at the logistics, man. He was one of, if not, maybe I think rated by PFF as the highest rated pocket passer. But don't quote me on that. But he wants to get better in that category, I know, and his precision timing, and timing routes and the ESP within reading receivers, and having the ball there before they turn. He wants to be more in sync with those guys, like an Apple update than he was last year, which should be scary in thought for teams that have to face us this year. Why isn't Keely Ringo signed to his rookie contract yet? Don't know. The Saints gave a top pick, 4th rounder, $63,000 greater than the slotted amount. Ringo maybe wants more. I mean that's. I mean, we're penny pinching, of course, but it's not a huge reason. And then if he lets that a paltry $63,000 stop him from making an impact on this roster, he's gonna come to regret that. And how he's gonna be watching that and looking at that? Oh, I mean, because it's a telltale sign. This guy's prioritizing this amount of money that he can make maybe in like a bonus or something like that. Okay, cool. Gonna note that for future negotiations. So he only do himself a disservice by doing that. Which current Eagle player do you think would make the best head coach in the future? Jason Kelce? Okay. That is a good question. I would say Jalen Hurts, but then I don't want him to be too hard on the guys that he's coaching. He's not gonna have any mercy. Nolan Smith. I'm gonna go out and say that just because I think he's infectious, and also Brandon Graham, like a tie for that, because they have that same juice, the same type of energy, same kind of just charisma and liveliness about them, the life about them. They're just fun guys to be around and challenging, and then I feel like they can toe the balance perfectly between coaching, being hard on the guy, keeping him accountable, but keeping it lighthearted and knowing to push their buttons at the right time and knowing what buttons to push. Most likely DeAndre Hopkins landing spot. The AFC team somewhere. The Bills are out, but it could be. I don't know, because when he would start going to non-contenders like the Patriots, who might finish 4th out of 4 in their division, I was like, man, happy sailing, kid, because you're not gonna win. Might get paid, but you ain't gonna win ish. In the past 3 or 4 drafts, which Eagles draftees were most likely Red Star players? That's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to look at the roster. I can't get to on that. This is one of them. Damn. Trying to think of some guys we drafted. Isaac Seumalo, I would say definitely was a Red Star. I just gotta look at the line of positions. Dallas Goedert was a Red Star. Oh, we already know City Brown. I want to say, what's the name? Zach McPherson, maybe it was a Red Star. Linebacker. Obviously, we know Nakobe Dean was a Red Star. And let's see, one more. This is a late pick, but Moro Ojomo. I think he might have been a Red Star. Ha! Answer the questions without flustering. Anyways, I tripped up anyway. How did the Eagles' top 5 players rank versus the rest of the league? Let's see. Number 1, huh? So, I mean, let's just say, okay, wait, here they have the guys. Jalen Hurts, Lane Johnson, Hassan Reddick, Jason Kelce, and AJ Brown. I'll just put them at that position. AJ's top 5. Jason Kelce's top 5 easily. Top 2. Hassan Reddick, I'll put him at top 10. I don't know. I don't know where exactly. Lane Johnson 1 or 2, depending on whether you want to go offensive tackle all around or just right tackles. Right tackle number 1, offensive tackle 1 or 2. Jalen Hurts top 5 right now. So I mean that composite gives you maybe 6 or 7 because Hassan Reddick he's taking it up. You're bringing the rankings down, but you'd have to reassess him this year. He might be top 5. I don't know because I just have so many guys. I mean, I know it's from a year-to-year basis, but man, there's some good pass rushers out there, man. Where does Jalen Hurts' Super Bowl performance rank among all-time Eagles QB performances? Behind Nick Foles. Yeah, playoff performance. Yeah, I mean that's easy to say because I mean if he'd have won, I think you put him at number 1. It's a debate for number 1. It's just that he was. I'll put him at number 2 because Nick Foles was just too on it with that Super Bowl performance. You can't beat that. When are they announcing the Kelly Green jerseys? Don't really care. Just look at it though. Just go and get one, man. I'm really thinking about getting one because I have some shoes that would kill with this outfit. I already dreamed, baby. Why does Tommy Lawler call you Jimmy Bama? Because I hate you, Jimmy. Hate Uncle Jimmy. See, I speak Espanol. Habla español? ¿Y tú? Por favor. Anyway, it ain't Jimmy, it's Cintron. What's been the most surprising great meal of your off season so far? Okay, let's skip this because I can't handle this shit. Get me some honeycomb, or this other French toast cereal. Oh my gosh, that shit was so good. That's all I want, some cereal, man. That's 3 brands right there. I have any subscribers that can send me some, please. You ain't watching them, so it's all for that. All right, that's the end of our proceedings, our readings, but we're going to get into some stuff around the league as well as some Eagles-related news. Let's see if we can find it. So the Eagles have the number 1 rated offensive line 2 seasons running concurrently. Man, I mean, we're just boss. Even with having to replace a right guard, Isaac Seumalo, who went off to the Pittsburgh Steelers with a guy who's a natural center, with Cam Beef Jurgens. I mean, even if he's decent, still set up for great success. So everybody else is either an All-Pro, Pro Bowler, or a Pro Bowl alternate. So just immaculate. Just not perfection, because Jordan Mailata can still improve, but that should be scary because he's still improving even with what he did last year as an alternative Pro Bowler. Lane Johnson, All-Pro. You gonna say more? Isaac Seumalo was a alternate Pro Bowler, and Ken Jurgens has to fill big shoes, but I believe in the kid. Jason Kelsey, don't need to say anything else. Landon Dickerson didn't finish some games last year, but what a tough guy because he came in I think came back in all of maybe one of them. So I mean the guy is huge. I'm glad that he was able to beat his injury report coming from Alabama. All right. A.J. Brown was the NFL's best receiver on slant routes. So, I mean, let's look at this a little bit closer. He had a rating of 97 out of 100. And he had 34 targets, 10 more than any other player at the position. He caught 26 of them for position-leading 386 yards. And in all, 19 of his slant catches went for a first down. This guy's just hard to bring down. 6'1", 226, runs a 4.4. I mean, he can just slip tackles. I mean, he gets past that first guy. He's just able to, like he did several times last season, stop. He shifts his momentum, let guys fly by, and then just get extra yards. Yak. And I'm not a freaking animal. But finished averaging 7.72 yards per route on slants. A full yard more than the next closest receiver. And, get this, he was also had the second best grade when it came to go routes. I mean, so remember that Pittsburgh game? I think 3 touchdowns on go routes. It just was insane, man. Michael Fitzpatrick was Fitzpatrick because he's also our current teammate who's playing for the Steelers then, safety Edwards. He was victim, I think, on at least one of them that I saw. It might have been more. But, man, it was just frustrating for them seeing him, run past them and, abuse the corner and safety. I mean, he pointed him out. He got that flag. It was well-deserved and worth it because just embarrassed those guys. But Yeah, man. I hope we continue to use him in the short game. It really transformed our offense having him in last year. And previous video, I highlighted it, kind of why he was able to make everything explode and make everybody better. All right, let's look into this, man, because there's a war of words going on here. Austin Eckler of the Chargers and on the running back market in tags. Tough for me to accept. He had to accept that he wasn't going to get what he wanted this offseason, going to another team and get the price he wanted, because he's an asset to the Chargers, and other teams see him as valuable, especially as a reception guy out of the backfield, but they just don't want to pay running backs. It's like women in the dating market. There's a new you. There's a younger version of you, hotter version of you coming out into the market every single day. Why would I pay premium prices when I can get cheaper and get better? Get better manageability and workability. What do you call it? Best for less. Let's see, and also we have the Steelers running back, Najee Davenport. He said maybe I caused this war with the NFL because he wasn't happy. He isn't happy with the current contract status of the NFL running backs, and running backs are kind of uniting around the league. Also, Saquon Barkley offered a contract last season for $12 million, declined that, and then was offered $14 million most recently per year. He declined that, so he's not, settling. And I know other guys are looking to him to try and reset the market because he's been stuck, and he has a franchise tag. I think it might be non-exclusive, but a lot of guys received that one. $10 million is what they're getting, and it's barely over $10 million. It's just been a position, backtrack for those guys. I mean, when we're gone to the days with Damian Thomason and Adrian Peterson were leading the league, some of the highest salaries, regardless of position, with them getting, a fairly comparable number to other positions. But these days, they like tight ends and safeties are making more than running backs. Positions that, while they have more prestige, they're not as important because half of the attack is running versus passing. And last time I checked, a lot of teams still run the ball more than they do pass, or equal amount, or a good chunk, like 40% or so, at least. So I mean, yeah, it's crazy that running backs aren't getting paid, man. And then, to look at one more, Kirk Cousins is holding out hope that Dalvin Cook could return. No problem. I'm hoping that boy, because if he was going to, he would have made a deal before they cut him and let him reach free agency. It ain't looking good, man. And he's not even gonna get fair market value for him being he is an older back, has 1,500 career touches, but he still shouldn't be getting paid what he's gonna get paid. And our last running back that we're gonna look at, the Colts, Taylor. Trend and value of running back contract sucks because he knows he's upcoming. I think next year, either the end of this year or during this year, he's eligible. He ain't get paid, and he had 1,700 yards 2 years ago. So I mean, it just goes to show you they'll use and abuse you, cash you out, look for your replacement before the end of the season. Be scouting dude. So I mean, it's it is what it is. I feel bad for him because I mean, it's a position I love to see. I mean, who doesn't love to see their running backs matching guys, stiff arm, jerking guys. But the NFL needs to solve this, find a way for these guys to get paid. Receiver Mike Williams say he doesn't regret playing in Week 18. Come on, bro. You got hurt and then you weren't able to help your team in the playoffs, especially when y'all let a dude come back after you got five picks off of him and win the game, and lose on a freaking field goal. You could have been a difference, man. But I mean, hey, shout out to him for standing on his 10 toes on that perspective. But me as a fan, I'm like, hell no. All right, this might be the last thing we look at today, but Stephon Diggs is not an issue. So they got whatever issue they had with with the head coach and management ironed out. He didn't show up for the second day of minicamp, and they were confused, like, huh? Where's Stephon Diggs at? So talks about maybe him not being satisfied with the contract, or with them getting blown in the playoffs, or losing, or just some kind of issue going on there. But apparently they have it solved. But it's gonna be something to watch. So keep your eye on this. But with that, we're gonna end the video. No long ass video. I'm back to doing these long ass formats. But anyways, you're not even watching though. It's all good. It's all good because, like I always say, It's fly, Eagles, fly, and let's motherfucking go. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you like. Thanks for watching. Check me out at Cintron, Cintron Anime, Cintron Life, or Cintron Laughs, or other social media.